The boys are back. 2 lions, 1 dragon. The journey continues. Qatar 2022. Listen on Spotify and YouTube. The boys are back.
We are back.
The boys are back.
2 Lions, 1 Dragon podcast is back for the Qatar World Cup. How are you, gentlemen?
Good. Happy to be here as always.
As always, it's been a while. And how are you both feeling about the tournament and the fact that it is in November, December? Because it feels weird to me.
Don't like it. Don't like it. It's very dark outside. And it's cold. It's wet. It's very windy. I don't like it.
Do you know what I don't like is that I looked on my Fantasy Premier League side earlier, and every time I go on it, I'm like, well, I'm not going to do this for another 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Oh, of course, yeah. Let's panic and use my wild card after 2 games in the World Cup.
We've announced that we're back after a hiatus, but we haven't told the listeners that there may be some naughty words. So Matthew, will you do the honour?
Yes, there may or may not be a lot of how's your mother's during this podcast. So if you're easily offended, I don't care.
There we go.
There you go.
That's the I's dotted and the T's crossed. So this week our WhatsApp has been going crazy as we have been talking all about the squad announcements. Firstly, we will kick off with the Wales squad because I feel like we may be a bit more opinionated on the other squad announcement, in particular Matthew Trigg. So, Matthew, how are you feeling about the Wales squad? Is there anybody that you wish had have made it, or generally are you just quite pleased?
I'm generally quite pleased. There's a couple missing out with injury, and there's a lot of cases where people have been talking about Ollie Cooper could have making the squad, but he's going as a standby. But generally, it's the squad that we've seen for the last couple of years, which, I mean, you can't really complain about. So the players who are going got us to the World Cup, so you can't really say that there's too many surprises of people who've been left out or going, to be honest. Yeah. I'm quite happy, to be honest. And I'm happy to be there. I'm happy to be there.
Do you think there'll be youth embedded going on from the tournament? Do you think
there'll be no one embedded, Qatar, thank you very much, as against the rules?
You can't. We might be struck off. You can't do that.
Yeah, knocking at my door.
No, I think he'll be using the same players, and then post World Cup he'll start bringing a few more youngsters in. I think it's going to be an homage to a few players per se, like your Joey Allens, your Chris Gunters, maybe the Wayne Hennessy's of the world. Joe Allen is going, yeah, he's going.
Is Chris Gunter in the squad?
I believe so, from my knowledge. I haven't got the full 26 in my head. Yeah, I think a lot of people will be wanting to do Euro 2016 has kind of tarnished us a bit, where we're like, we got to do as well as that. But no, we're just happy to be there.
It was a World Cup. They've got to enjoy it, you know.
I mean, it's the first World Cup in a long time. So
living in Wales, you can feel the buzz a bit, Trig, can't you? You know, a lot of people are talking about, the World Cup's coming up, you know. And that's a big thing, really, especially the autumn internationals at the moment. People aren't, people are going out and watching it, but they've also got one eye on the World Cup, and just from conversations with people down the pub and stuff, they are ready for it. So there's people in the local community, they're starting to sing songs, you know. There's that real carnival football vibe coming to Wales.
There was a programme about Neville Southall on earlier. The pressure's building. We're ready to go. We're ready to rock and roll.
Neville Southall. How many caps did he have for Wales? Is he the all-time cap winner?
No, I don't think so. Not anymore. I mean, maybe. I'm not. I can't quite remember off the top of my head if Chris Gunter's got there yet.
He is in the squad. He's in the squad, definitely.
Oh, go on, Chrissy Gunter.
In the squad is Big Kiefer Moore. And he's in the goals at the moment.
He's in the goals. I mean, the 9-0 aside, he's having an all right season.
He's not a defender. He's up the other end of the pitch. You know.
But he didn't
score,
did he?
Harry Wilson tonight as well. You know, watching him in Man U Fulham game, he's getting in some nice positions. He's got a crack.
Dan James scored.
Dan James scored. There's a
Yeah.
lot of players from the Wales squad that are playing in current Premier League teams. Now, I remember when we spoke last year, we were saying, well, how many of them are actually in the Premier League? How many are actually playing football on a Saturday at the top level? And there weren't many. But now you've got Kiefer Moore, Chris Metham, he's at Bournemouth as well. Wayne Hennessy, there's a lot more that you can put on that list.
Yeah. I think there's a couple with Forrest, Brennan Johnson and Nico Williams.
Yeah,
So they
number
come
two.
up. Harry Wilson, you said Dan James. Danny Ward's playing well for Leicester, so...
Who do you think will lead the line? Do you reckon it'd be Kiefer Moore?
I don't know. Obviously, Bale's getting on a bit,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I haven't really gone over the starting 11 in my head yet.
Yeah, they like Bale on the wing, though, don't they? Bale, James.
I think he'd start with Bale and you have Dan James and probably Harry Wilson. But I'd like to see Brennan Johnson. I like Brennan
Yeah.
Johnson. I think he's good.
As Luke will testify, he's got a bit of bite.
He's laughing about the Bromwich when you Luke.
Absolutely. You need a bit of bite down there.
The last Welshman they had at the Bromwich, they absolutely destroyed him. How Robson Canoe, what happened to him?
Oh, what a great player. Great.
He was brilliant.
Do you know his
Absolute
first name's not
player.
Hal? His first name's not Hal.
What is it?
It's Thomas.
Thomas.
There you go. The more you know.
Oh. Thomas Turmeric Canoe. Advertising turmeric stuff now, isn't he?
Yeah, he loves it.
He loves a turmeric.
Loves
Am I
it.
saying that right? Turmeric.
I wouldn't say it's
I don't-
turmeric. Sounds a bit...
Schumer.
It's spelled turmeric, though, isn't it?
No.
I
Yeah,
feel like we've
but-
gone slightly off.
Sorry.
Lucky you getting it back to food. Lucky you losing all this weight and you're still talking about food.
I'm glad you noticed.
I'm putting it back on. But anyway,
Right.
how are
So-
you two? What are your opinions on the England squad? I have very strong opinions, but I'd like to hear yours.
Oh, I'll start then. Go on then. I'll be honest. A few days, it's sunk in now. It's not too bad, but with and you'll slaughter me for this. I think it is absolutely criminal that Dan Burn is not in the England side, but Connor Cody is. Dan Burn is having the season of his life for Newcastle.
Yeah, he's a left back though, isn't he? He's not going to
Left
get
back,
ahead
centre
of
back.
Cody.
He can cover both positions,
Centre half. Don't be silly. Just because he's tall.
but he is having a good season. And
We're not here to talk about Newcastle.
I think Cody's obviously there. They liked him in the last thing. He's obviously happy not to play a game. He didn't play the Euros once.
It's more for dressing room, isn't it? It sounds horrible, but I've seen it in a few conversations on Twitter and WhatsApp that he's basically a glorified cheerleader. It's a bit harsh.
I think that's the same with a lot of the players that are going now, like Jordan Henderson. He may get like 10 minutes at the end of a game because of his experience, but that's another one. He's having a poor season with Liverpool. He should be nowhere near the squad. But I think Gareth Southgate's come out and he's been loyal. Harry Maguire. Everyone's talking about Harry Maguire. I've been a big supporter of Harry Maguire in England top. But the last few games he played for England has been absolutely appalling. What was the one we played? Was it Germany when he gave away the ball and they scored, and then he gave away the penalty as well? I just hope that when is it? When's our first game? The 20th, Monday the 20th. That he's locked in and ready to go.
It's Monday the 21st, if we're being sticklers.
That's after the big massive game that is Qatar versus Ecuador on the Sunday evening. But yeah, no, in terms of defence is what it is. We're struggling with wing backs. They've been crippled, and it would be absolutely shambolic if Kieran Trippier doesn't start.
You've got the mighty Ben White. Of course he's not going to start.
Ben White has to play, but I'd like to see him centre back alongside Stones, to be honest. But then you think, where's the powerhouse then? Because Maguire he's winning balls in the air. I don't know what Ben White's like.
I think it all depends on the formation as well, because we all
Yeah.
know that Southgate likes to play 5 at the back. I really hope he doesn't. I really hope he plays 4. But just we're going back to the squad. I think you look at a couple more obvious people that are missing out. You've got Tomori. There's been a lot of conversation about whether he should be included. You then look at other names. So in the midfield. I don't think he would have been called up given form, but Sancho, and then obviously the big name that's been talked about in the forward line is Ivan Toney, which was a big debate. Obviously Callum Wilson's got the nod. I think Rashford is in good form. Obviously Maddison, I think a well-deserved call-up. But this is what I wanted to get back. A point I wanted to make is, obviously we know like Maguire normally does it for England, Pickford normally does it for England, but is Southgate, where do you go? Do you go for form, or do you go over the players that you trust? Because for me, there has to be an element of form, because otherwise you could just have a team who are really struggling. Like, yeah, Maguire was struggling in the last England fixture. I think he's featured a bit more for United recently and has done a bit better, which will be better for England. But there are some players, like you said, Henderson is not coming off the back of a great season at the moment. Trent, he's struggled this season more defensively. But then there have been some players who've looked really good. Like we said, Maddison's looked good, Saka's looked good, Ben White as well in particular. Callum Wilson's in a little bit of form, and he offers something different. So I just wanted to go to you two really. Firstly, would you have taken Ivan Toney? Matthew?
I'm leaning more towards no. Although the fact that he scored 2 goals on the weekend doesn't help the argument. But I think you're taking Kane, who's Harry Kane. You're taking Callum Wilson, if fit, is a very good striker.
And he's
Who likes
striker,
he's different to Kane, yeah. Rashford's going, who's got experience, and I still have faith that he will be a very good player, even though he's not been great the last year. And who's the other one? I don't know. I can't remember.
You've got Sterling and you've also got Saka. Just on Ivan Toney, only Salah, Kane and Son have scored more Premier League goals than him since the start of last season.
That's impressive. We were looking at that. I remember looking at that with you, Trig, at the end of last year at the top scorers. I think he scored like 17 or something, and we were, in a team that finished mid-table, I think, which was impressive. If you put him in the Uniteds or someone there, maybe he's getting a few more goals. But I don't know. I don't know how old he is. He's obviously younger than Callum Wilson, but
it's mid-20s, I believe, isn't he?
It goes back to like Gareth Southgate picking players on their mentality, what else they can bring to the locker room. Because let's be honest, Ivan Toney's not going to play a game, is he? Callum Wilson, He'll be lucky to get a game. I think it's all about the competitiveness on the training ground and what players can push. When they're competing, because they go into these games now without playing a practice match. So there's going to be some competitive training matches going straight into it, I think. And you're looking at it from that level, really, is that these players on the training pitch, who's going to be the most competitive, but also who's going to bring in the locker room, who's going to be able to lift the spirit and stuff like that. And maybe he just doesn't feel he's going to get that from Ivan Toney. But having spoken to Callum Wilson and having Wilson in the squad at some point, maybe he knows that, what kind of person he is. He can help bring the lads up and stuff. Now Wilson may be not as highly looked upon from the other English lads who have been there, last Euros and whatnot. But yeah, maybe he offers something different there that Toney doesn't.
Do you think do you think if Tammy Abraham was in better scoring form that Toney would be having a look in?
No.
It's a difficult one to say, isn't it? Because you just got to look at the Tomori thing. Like, if you're in Southgate's head, like, for some reason he hasn't picked Tomori. And when we are really, really struggling in the back line, you got to look at the people who are actually, defending well, keeping clean sheets, winning competitions, and Tomori's there. So why isn't he in the squad? But Connor Cody is, and they conceded 3 on the weekend, and that's with Jordan Pickford in the squad as well. So Tammy Abraham, if he's scoring, he I think it was a bit naive of Southgate to come out and say that though in the press conference. He said the reason Abraham's not in the squad is because he's hit a poor run of form at the wrong time. I think that was a bit naive.
I think it's the same for Roma as well, because I don't think they're playing particularly well. But if you look at the other players who are from the fire line who are going, you got Rashford, who's in form now with United, Kane scoring, Sterling, he had a good start of the season with Chelsea. Then you've got Wilson flying with Newcastle, shut your face. You've got Saka, one of the best English young players. Yeah, and then you got, if you're even looking slightly behind, you got Madison, great form. Foden, great form. Bellingham, great form. Declan Rice is great. I mean,
I think my big thing with Southgate that he shot himself in the foot with is he said, I'm not taking Tammy Abraham.
yeah,
Fine. But then he has picked Calvin Phillips, and you say, well, okay, well, why aren't you taking, if you're picking those two, why aren't you gambling on Reece James? It's almost like rules are applying to certain players, and he knows the team best. He knows what he wants best. Like I said, I hope we play 4. On the Tony subject, I just want to ask a quick question in terms of, before I ask another couple of questions, and then we look at the games ahead. Would you take a player based on their speciality? So we know Ivan Toney, penalty specialist, hasn't missed one. Would you have taken a player on that basis?
no.
Thank the Lord.
I don't get it. It's the same as I don't get the substitutions he made against Italy in the final. Like, I mean, I'll say it the same, and I've missed them in previous years. If you can't score from 12 yards as a professional footballer, I know the pressure is a big part of it, but like, if you can't score from 12 yards, you're not a professional footballer, really, are you?
But also, they're coming on and they didn't even touch a ball, did they? So,
No, I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know what went through his head when he thought, I want to bring on more than one player to do that job without touching the ball.
Yeah.
Now, though, having done that, if England get a penalty shootout in this tournament, do you think it will change his thinking of bringing people off from the bench to solely take a penalty?
I don't think
No. But if you look at the players who will stay on the pitch for the full 120 minutes, like you've got Kane, he'll take a penalty. Declan Rice, he can take a penalty. Trippier can take a penalty if he stays off for 120 minutes. Maguire,
and then he may bring on subs like Callum Wilson, Madison have taken penalties.
Yeah. I mean, Madsen's great from set pieces.
The pressure changes. With Leicester, Newcastle, they take a penalty on the weekend, they miss this, okay, they may get one next week. With England, you miss a penalty, you're out the tournament,
But that begs a question of why if in that pressurized situation, is he bringing on so fresh players in that scenario to take those penalties? It doesn't make sense.
Would take a penalty again because he hasn't missed since, has he? So.
No, scored against Chelsea last year, 4-2.
But another question I wanted to ask, because I think this is a topic I think we could always talk about. This is a big one because I know you two will have your favourite player for this position, given your club allegiances. But
I know this question.
Who will go in goal? Who should be picked?
Oh, good question.
It's got to be Aaron Ramsdale.
No chance.
It's got to be Aaron Ramsdale. Who does Pope pay for now? Newcastle, of course he does. He never shut up about him.
Best defence record in the league. I must say, watching him all year, his distribution is poor. He can control the ball, but he can't fucking kick it. And he can't. But, do you know what I mean? Like, I was watching. What I do like about him though is that he comes he comes away from his line and out of his box, and he goes. Almost like Neuer for Germany, he's playing that sweeper role as well, which takes the pressure off a bit. Will he start in Southgate's starting 11? I don't know.
We know who's going to start. It'll be Jordan Pickford, and it's a travesty. I don't get it. Yeah, I've seen the helmet. Another one, by the way.
I don't know what it is with Pickford. For Everton, he always seems a little bit chaotic, and like he's got to get.
Just a madman, isn't he?
Whereas for England, he always looks a lot calmer. and he
Yeah.
has played well for England in the past. So I think I said to you, I bet he'll start Pickford. My only thing is for example, if Pickford made an error, it may then get the pressure is that he has to pick somebody else.
Also, if you look at the games that England played in the Euros and the games leading up to the World Cup, you haven't been dominated with shots, have you?
No.
So, I mean, your shot stopping quality goalkeeper isn't going to be, it's obviously a high quality you need, but you need someone who's going to distribute. And that obviously is Aaron Ramsdale, and he's top of the league, so it don't matter.
Well, compromise me on this one. When we get the penalties, Pope's coming on because he saved 3 the other day in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, I'll shake on that.
So obviously, you've got the opener, which everyone is so excited for, Qatar versus Ecuador. But the games we want to talk about are the games on Monday. So England take on Iran and USA take on Wales. So it's that dreaded time, gentlemen. Score predictions. We'll go England-Iran first, and I will go to Matthew Trigg.
I am 3-0 England. I can't see. Name me right now 5 Iranian footballers.
I'm not going to go down that road.
I can off the top of my head, I can think of Guchanejad, don't know where he is, Yakin Bash, and that's it.
I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
we should be beating them. I think it happens every time a tournament comes around. I lose all confidence in the squad, but then we win the first game. Chinese down, Heineken down.
I think your first game, I think, always determines how good you're going to be.
Yeah.
I think if you have a poor first game, the
It sets the
pressure's
tone.
going to go into the next game, and then you got Wales, who are obviously going to beat you. So I mean, the first 2 games.
It's typical though, isn't it? I
awful.
think Wales will struggle their first 2 games and they'll come out and bloody
Yeah.
beat England or something, you know, because Aaron Ramsdale's in
Score
goal.
prediction against Iran, Charlie. You're dodging it. Come on.
Okay, will we keep a clean sheet? That's the question.
I'll go with my score prediction then whilst you're umming and ahhing.
I'm just going to say 2-0.
2-0.
Callum Wilson can contribute.
Dan Burn.
Oh, God.
Dan Bird flying
Even
in.
Pope's going to get a goal. How about you, Luke? What's yours?
I went 2-0 as well.
2-0.
So I think the problem that England have is sometimes when teams sit and are very organised, we struggle to break them down. But my hope is that we won't play 5 at the back. We'll go with 4, and then that will the quality will be too much.
The creative players that you've got, you should.
Yeah.
Here's a
With
thing,
Madison
right?
going.
Needs to step up this tournament because it's a little bit. He's been a little bit quiet for England recently.
Mount won't be anywhere near the starting 11, which is nice.
I think that our success in this tournament depends on how well Phil Foden plays, because I think he's arguably our best player, you know, in the squad at the moment. He's banging them in for City. He's playing really well for City. He could be setting up a lot more for Haaland. Maybe the experience of playing with Haaland will affect the way he plays with Kane as well, you know. So, but yeah, I think our success in this tournament is based on how well Phil Foden plays. Because he was poor in the last Euros, you know. He didn't really. I think he wasn't fully fit, but
I hope that Jude Bellingham starts because he has been great this season, and I think he could be a big driving force going forward for us, alongside Rice, and hopefully that's what we go for as the midfield.
I think that's everyone's midfield, right?
Yeah.
Rice and Bellingham.
see this is it, right? When you start to talk about those players, Foden, Bellingham, Rice, you start getting excited again. I'm starting to get reeled in, but I don't want to. I want to go. I just need to go. Okay, Maguire, Stones, Pickford.
Right. We've all agreed on an England victory. Let's look at Wales. What we're going for, gentlemen. I will go to you last, Matthew. So Charles first. USA versus Wales.
They play USA. I think, you know, that game's there for the taking. The Wales squad are going to be up for it. They'll be singing Umar Ohid. They'll have what's his name, Michael Sheen's speech on in the changing room. They'll be raring to go. The dragon will be roaring. The fire in its belly will be ready to smoke out the United States of America. But yeah, no, I'd like to see Wales do well, just because I live in Wales, you know. Yeah, that's it really. I think they will win 2-1.
2-1. I'm very confident.
Keep stealing my scores. I was going to get something like that.
Goes back to big Kiefer, doesn't it? Kiefer more. More. How do you like
I
it?
think it'll be a cagey start because neither team will want to commit, and then they'll realise that there's something to play for. And I think it'll be 2-1 because I think there's just a bit more quality in that final third for Wales. And also, I think a string in the bow is some players that other teams may not be that aware of. So won't know what to do with them immediately, and that could definitely work. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 as well. So it looks good from our point of view. Trick, what do you think?
I'm more leaning to Charlie's way of thinking because we're one of the relatively worst teams at the tournament. If you're not taking out, the Qatars and such. Being a pessimist at the moment. But if you look at the American side, who do you think is going to hurt teams? I mean, you've got Pulisic. He's been terrible.
Yeah.
The only one I can think of is Weston McKennie in midfield. He's been all right for Juve. And I can't think of any other players who play in front of the defence for the US.
Look at that team now.
I can't. I know Matt Turner, obviously.
How do you think
Arsenal.
Wales will react to the United States football chants? I believe that we will win.
Fight and win. I think we're going to be terrified. No.
Oh, fuck that.
Yeah.
Keep going out there, lads.
Speaking, going off that point, have you seen the Qatari government have been paying some of the Qatari people to be one of the country's fans? So there's like groups of like Qataris, like in Brazilian and Argentinian kits, walk around and like banging drums and stuff. It's hilarious. It's an epitome of how shit World Cup this is going to be, in the terms of it's in Qatar.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but anyway, I think it's going to be 1-1.
1-1.
I think the US will take the.
We spoke a lot.
I'm going 1-1. I'm going 1-1.
We spoke a lot about like how England are going to play and stuff like this. What do you think? What's key to Wales doing well at this tournament?
The almighty talisman there is Aaron Ramsey. If he stays fit, we'll beat anyone.
It's like deja vu. This podcast.
I know it is. My love will never die. I don't know. I think we've got enough of our key players playing minutes. Ramsey's been playing in Nice. Dan James, Harry Wilson been playing. Bale, who knows? Brian Johnson be playing. Danny Ward, which I think should start. He's been playing well. Mepham as well. He's been playing well. So a lot of the players have been playing. So I don't think it'll be an issue of form or lack of match fitness. I think that if we keep confidence and spirits high, I think we'll go out and match anyone.
Does it benefit them as well having this sort of? But like before, there's the unknown with Giggsy. What was going on with Giggs? Now, Page is in the job. Everyone knows. It seems like the lads are behind him. There's got to be some sort of benefit to that, right?
Yeah. Because we're relatively small a nation. Well, obviously Giggsy's an idiot and was beating up everyone left, right, and centre. But there's no like shocking things that happen around the Wales camp or the Wales players for it to kind of derail any confidence or any. Yeah. I don't think. I think we're going to go in confident as usual. We're going to be happy to be there, and we're just going to play with enjoyment. I think.
Just enjoying the tournament, which is a bit, and I think which is where England have done well in the previous two tournaments. We just enjoyed the ride a little bit, haven't we? So, and I think that has been good. So that is everything that we were going to talk about, gentlemen.
We haven't said who's going to win. We haven't said top goal scorers.
The tournament.
You scrapped after your structure.
What,
Jesus.
sorry?
You scrapped after your structure. What's going on?
Oh, that wasn't in my structure. Top goal scorer at this tournament.
Top goal scorer.
It's difficult, isn't it? Like, the other day I was
It is
thinking about
difficult.
this, and I do think possibly Benzema.
Mm.
Benzema could be my shout, because I look there and I'm like, what other decent strikers are going? Obviously Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Ronaldo's going to be up there, isn't he? If Portugal play well, and if he plays well, because he's had an absolutely stinking tournament. But, you know, there's that. I can't think of anyone else apart. Like, my bets would be on Benzema if I was a betting man.
Yeah. Yeah. If you look at the teams who are obviously going, there's no, obviously you've got Mbappe and Benzema. You can't, a Neymar would be a wild card shout for me.
Yep.
But I can't think of any other prolific. Well, Kane obviously because he won the Golden Boot of the Euros, so that's a shout as well.
Yeah.
And you've got Wales, Iran, and America in your things. You should win it by then.
Yeah.
If we're being serious.
You've also got Lukaku for Belgium, who's out of form as well. You've got
Out of form for
Luis
years.
Suarez for Argentina. Nunes for not Argentina, sorry, Uruguay. You got Nunes for Uruguay as well,
Messi as
and then you
well.
got Messi. Mbappe is a bit of a wild card, but it just depends because France are very hit and miss, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna. Yeah.
I'm sticking with Benzema. I think Karim's bringing it on. The Golden Boot, that is, not the World Cup.
I'm gonna say Lionel Messi.
Oh,
There we go.
oh, you heard it here first.
Last World Cup, the prediction thing said Argentina going to win the World Cup. So there you go. That's a thing. And he's the greatest player of all time. So yeah, I think he's going to win it. I'm stating it.
Thinking of Messi as well, but
It's
I'm
the
gonna go-
fairy tale ending, isn't it? It's the fairy
someone
tale.
different. I'm gonna go. Let's just looking at the groups.
Callum Wilson.
Uh,
Dan Burn.
Damn big Nick Pope.
you look at France. I think that they could get some goals in their groups. I'm going to go Mbappe.
Mbappe.
Yeah,
Right,
I'd like to see him
I-
do it on the world stage. I know he won the World Cup, but he wasn't great that year, was he? You know?
No.
Just a bit of an arse, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's just like we
Mr.
said.
PSG, isn't he?
He's just fast, but he's got no end product.
And I'm going to jump in before anyone steals it because Charlie's stealing all my scores. So I'm going to predict that Argentina will win it.
Yeah.
Go to you two for yours. Charles.
Okay, I've been saying this quite a lot recently. Brazil, I fancy him. Fancy him for it. I think
I do.
they got a nice squad. They got there's a lot of depth in that squad as well, which you look at the other teams is not really there. But I don't know. There's just something about Brazil in the World Cup. They always do well, don't they? So.
There are a lot of players who are playing quite well as well.
But although Firmino didn't make the squad, did you see that?
Mm.
But they
I
do
don't
have
know,
Bruno
they-
Guimaraes. Bruno.
They do.
Bruno.
There's a lot of club bias coming into this episode, and I'm
I
here
know,
for it.
yeah, just don't let him take us off you, eh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I am leaning towards Brazil as well. I want Argentina. Well, no, I want Wales to win, obviously. Duh. But
Duh.
obviously, like they're gonna win it anyway. I think I want Argentina to win it because the old Messi thing. That would be quite nice, wouldn't it? Oh, last World Cup I won it. But I do think Brazil will do really well. If you look at the front three, you got Neymar, Vinicius as a start, and who are they going to play as 9? Whether it's going to be Jesus or
Richarlison.
Richarlison. Then you got Bruno. You've got Thiago Silva, Marquinhos.
Who's in the Brazil group? Have you still got the groups up, Luke?
I have indeed.
Who's in Brazil's group?
You have got Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland and Cameroon.
Competitive.
It's competitive, yeah.
Switzerland
they'll have
always
straightforward
surprise
group.
people.
Yeah. I think Brazil will do well. I think it'll either be, like, if you look at the European clubs, Germany's squad isn't too wowie. Neither is Spain's.
There's no strikers,
I
is
mean,
there?
Portugal's squad's quite stacked. I did mention
Yeah.
the other day. They've got a really good squad. They could be an outsider.
Obviously, they won Euro 2016.
His Netherlands squad is very
Yeah, they're missing a striker.
inexperienced.
I think if they had a striker, they'd be up there as one of the favourites. I think England is still one of the favourites, aren't they? But
I think it would be between Brazil, Australia, Argentina, France, and England. I think those four will be.
What about Denmark? Is that a fair shout?
What about them? No.
Win.
They had a good Euros only last year.
Yeah, but
I did, but
Plus Eriksen's back.
I think
They got the
overachieved,
power of
didn't
God on
they?
their side.
they had the confidence. You know, the we're going to win because Eriksen nearly died. That gusto from last year. And Damsgaard played well. He's gone to Brentford and disappeared.
Yeah.
Schmeichel's disappeared.
Or as such, have they?
That Dahlberg has scored a couple of goals, but obviously he's in
Ajax,
France.
is he?
Oh, he was for Nice the last time I seen
Alright.
for Ramsey and that. But no, I don't think.
No Denmark. Who else is there? You know,
2 Brazils and an Argentina.
obviously
Yeah.
Italy aren't there.
Ah.
Jokes.
That is fun. It's so much. It's so funny considering they beat you in the final.
It's
They're
just
not there this
it's
time.
such an England thing to happen. That.
I know.
It's also such an Italy thing to happen as well.
What about Spain though? You know, they announced their team the other day. Missing Thiago.
Yeah. Thiago, they're not taking Ramos, which isn't like too much of a
Pretty
surprise.
interesting to see Pedri again, isn't it?
Yeah, he would have played 8,000 games before this either.
But it goes back like we don't really know where their goals are coming from. You know, I think after the first week we'll have a good idea of who's going to have a good tournament, and who's not. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I think, like you said as well, the first game sets the tone. Like when you go back to England, if we have a poor first game, the press will get on it. The doubts creep in a group. Whereas if you go and win your first game and you look comfortable and at ease, I think as well it depends. Like a lot of these teams, they're not having a game, so they're going straight into fixtures, and they might not have played with certain players before. So it wouldn't surprise me if some of the first few games are a little cagey because they're just trying to suss.
Plus, it's going to be the first time that they've played together, isn't it? You know, I said they're not going to have these warm-up matches like they traditionally do. They're just going straight in.
Yeah.
So it's all training ground stuff, and then they got to acclimatise to the climate as well. Obviously,
It just seems wrong, doesn't it, having it at this time of the season?
You
Seems
laugh at
wrong.
that. It's not right, is it? We should be on a beach somewhere watching the football.
I should have watched the FA Cup final, the Champions League final, had a bit of a break, and then gone into the World Cup. That's how life is.
I am excited
It's
though.
just weird.
I am
just
excited.
Wrong, and I don't
It's
like.
disrupting nature, and I don't.
Rather than
Yeah.
being outside in shorts and a t-shirt with a pint watching the match, I might be eating pigs and blankets watching them
Next to a fire.
Yeah.
next to the fire.
with the carol singers at the door.
The total opposite of playing a guitar.
With your Jesus nativity in the background.
Yeah. I just don't think it'll happen again. Well, Sepp Blatter's come out and said that it was a mistake, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
And
so
if he says that,
That's a
then
mistake, isn't he?
There's a thing on Netflix, isn't there, about the corruption of FIFA? I haven't watched that.
yeah, I haven't watched it. I've heard it's eye-opening,
Oh,
to say the least.
I might give it.
Well,
a
considering they spent over what? I think they spent over 800 million on the bid, something like that.
Shit.
And then they're giving Beckham 200 million to endorse the World Cup. And then they've spent and God knows how much money building these stadiums, which are now going to be vacant within the next.
Have you
6
seen
months.
the village, the fan village place? They
Yeah.
basically shipped a load of containers over and turned them into like hotel rooms, haven't they?
Yeah, it's like 180 quid a night as well. To sleep in a boiling hot
Ridiculously expensive over there.
cabin.
Just
God.
awful.
And to the tip of the iceberg, cost of, it's not even a pint, the cost of a 500 milliliter alcoholic beverage is over £11.
I'm appalled.
I'm disgusted. It's more that's expensive in the Windsor on a Saturday night. Jesus.
And it's expensive, isn't it?
I know it is.
Well,
the price of
price of pints went up 15 pence the other day. Jesus.
I know, Qatar, that's why. Bloody bastards. They're like, they're up here, over there.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
We've got our winners. We've got our top goal scorers. I'm not even going to go for Golden Glove because that's just a boring one.
It's Nick Pope. Nick Pope.
Token trophy, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have this because someone else won it.
Yeah. So, we've gone for our score predictions. Charlie, tell people, because it's been a while, how they can listen to the Two Lions, One Dragon podcast.
So, you can listen on Spotify and YouTube at Two Lions, One Dragon podcast. We'd also appreciate a follow. We're up to 200 followers now on Instagram at Two Lions, One Dragon podcast. Check us out. We'll be posting all the latest episodes on there, behind the scenes looks, and also maybe some celebratory videos if we can actually celebrate our teams winning.